Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to be analysing the live price action for EU and DXY to see what day trading opportunities we have for today. So you're going to see my analysis and strategy. So if you're interested in those, then stick around. Let's start here on the daily of EU. Right, what can we see? So after price filled this daily fair value gap, we've had this bullish push. Yesterday you can see we had a big bullish candle which closed out filling the fair value gap above and even beyond it. At the moment we have our previous daily high, previous daily low, which are both intact, and we're at a point where price is either going to continue its trend on the lower time frames, or we'll see if this is a reversal point. On the 4 hour here, as discussed in my previous videos, we mitigated the daily fair value gap and this 4 hour order block and reacted bullishly internal and pulled back to our premium. So from our leg up here or here to the low here, we've now come into the premium, which you'll see the 1 hour leg when we get to that chart. So just a few things to note now, other than that we are in a premium of this 4 hour leg. The structure is clearly still bearish. We have lower low, lower high, lower low. One thing to note, we still have this unmitigated PPI here, so it's just something to bear in mind. If we do continue bullish, it may be to fill this gap. Also on the 4 hour, you can see we have this 4 hour fair value gap in place. I haven't drawn it out because there's also one on the hourly, so I've drawn it in there. We'll go down to the hourly time frame. So on the hourly, again, the trend is fairly clear. You can see we've got this 1 hour leg here. We're clearly in the premium. Yesterday we mitigated the 1 hour order block, and currently price action is here. We've created this sort of consolidation overnight. We're within this little range. So you can see I've noted here we have a fair value gap above, which price seems to be reaching for and may fill, and we have a fair value gap below, which also may attract price after, right? If this holds price, it may look like we're going to continue to trend at least until this point downwards. As you can see internally, of course, the 1 hour made high highs, high lows, high highs, right? So we're either relying on this 1 hour order block to continue our trend, or it may be broken, right? And price may continue bullish. Go down to the M15. So on the M15, it's more of the same again. Here's where we mitigated yesterday. There's also an M15 PPI. We broke down slightly, pulled back, and price has now made a high low. But what I see is price is now taking the buy side liquidity. London's taking Frankfurt and Asia. We're going to see what happens when price mitigates this 1 hour fair value gap. If price stalls there, I would look for structure again to break down, right? We're going to want to see something like this, and then now it's broken down and we can wait for our pullback to continue that further. That's just the first scenario for the continuation of the trend, right? I would prefer to trade with the trend, so we see that. If price were to break higher, I would be very wary of us sweeping the buy side liquidity. For us to continue bullish, it may be best to wait for a POI, right? Or take some sell side liquidity. So if price comes and takes any of these lows, or preferably this 1 hour fair value gap, then I'm going to want to see the structure create itself here and then break, right? And then we'll have similar. Price can pull back. This is terrible drawing, and then we can continue higher. So that would probably be the high probability scenarios, using these POIs to go in either direction. However, that's just from analyzing EU. So yeah, let's head over to DXY and see if that agrees with any of our biases, right? DXY daily. We see yesterday, same as EU, we've had a massive bearish candle, the opposite way obviously, filled the daily fair value gap and closed out. We have our previous daily high, previous daily low, currently still intact, of course. We had taken a lot of buy side liquidity, which obviously caused this pullback, and now we need to see where price is going to go from here. As my note suggests here, we still have further fair value gap on the daily for price to continue to with the trend. Onto the 4 hour now. You can see we have a clear bullish structure, right? High, 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 low, high, high. We've now pulled back after taking all this buy side liquidity to our discount. 1 hour and 4 hour order blocks and daily fair value gap has been filled. Again, like EU, we have a fair value gap above and below, which price may head into. Of course, same as EU on the 1 hour. We have our ultimate 1 hour bullish structure. Internally, of course, we've broken down to create this bearish pullback. It seems like, we're creating some sort of structure here and range after mitigating this. A few things to note here. We have the 1 hour and 4 hour fair value gap above, which has only been partially mitigated, but we also have these 1 hour fair value gaps below, and also, which is also a imbalance and fair value gap, is this price gap. Usually DXY will fill that price gap on the same day, so that may be where we're seeing this bearish DXY price action to head towards, to fill this gap right before going bullish, which should line up on EU with taking that buy side liquidity from that POI from its fair value gap as well. So on the lower time frames on the M15 here, you can see we haven't quite made a bullish structure yet. We haven't broken above the high. We have swept this sell side liquidity beneath Asia, but of course, yes, there's still this price gap here that we may fill initially. So it'd be the same as on EU. I'd be looking for, after this fill, price action to break above and pull back with a lower time frame POI, preferably on the M15, to continue to trend bullish, because I'd rather trade with the trend. However, of course, if price wanted to, continue bearish on DXY, which would be a bullish EU, I would wait to trade that sort of scenario from a POI. So back on EU, just to summarize, in the short term, we could see both directions, right? Like, as in the short term, I mean in the immediate, prices heading towards this fair value gap and has this fair value gap below. These are the kind of scenarios I would want to see from EU. DXY is pretty much in sync and in the same situation as EU. So wherever the price structure follows from there, I'm willing to go. I would prefer, if the trend, I would prefer to trade and short EU at the moment, just because if we were to continue bullish from here, I would want to find some sort of continuation later, but I can't really see a highly probable scenario right now with no POI. You're kind of trading against these POIs here, so that's not preferable for me. I'd rather if price had mitigated this and then broken towards the upside. So we'll see what happens. So my bias is more towards bearish EU preferably, but we're awaiting structure to shift either way. If structure shifts bullish, then we'll look for an opportunity that way. But right now, I would prefer this fill here. We've taken this buy side liquidity and we break down again towards the downside. So I hope you gained value from that. If there's anything you need explained, please let me know in the comments and give us a subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.